Welcome everybody, Souldin of the Grin brothers here, and it's time for another episode of Tea Time. And for today's Tea Time, which is gosh darn cold, 2017 is starting freezing. But I've got a tea here to warm me up, although it's just a standard English breakfast tea. Though it's from a place I haven't had tea from before. I think I got this as some sort of like freebie, or someone I knew got this for some freebie and it ended up in my hand somehow. Royal Horticultural Society is English breakfast tea bags. Yep. And so I've got some English breakfast tea with me for today's tea time. And today's tea time is, well, it's releasing in 2017, but it's commemorating 2016 because it is Souldin's top 6 games of 2016. I do my top 6 games of 2016 in 2017, or upload them, record and upload them, due to the fact that I like to try and include as many last minute additions via the last few days of 2016. I get some 2016 released games at Christmas time, and that gives like about 5, maybe 6 days, I think it's just 5, days to actually play like 1 or 2 more games and possibly add them to the list. I did actually play 2 games that had released in 2016 after Christmas, but I've only really experienced enough of one of them to have it involved in this process. Speaking of which, I guess I'll have it pop up on screen, but I've decided to list out each of the games that I've played this year that released this year. So you know what games are being included in terms of being judged by my top 6 games of 2016. For this year, I have played, and again, I'm not going to worry about going fast or slow because they'll be on screen right now. Arslan, The Warriors of Legend for Xbox One, Bravely Second Endlayer for 3DS, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 for Xbox One, Gravity Rush Remastered for PS4, Kirby Planet Robobot for 3DS, Metroid Prime Federation Force for 3DS, Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 for Xbox One, Pokemon Sun version for 3DS, Pokken Tournament for Wii U, Ratchet & Clank 2016 for PS4, which we at Grin Brothers have done a playthrough of. That's how I experienced it this year. Recore for Xbox One, Star Fox Guard for Wii U, and Twisted Fusion for Wii U. That was actually a game I funded on Kickstarter, and I got around to playing some of it this year. There was also a few games that other games that I've experienced, but for various reasons I just don't feel that I've been able to have enough time with them to properly judge them and put on the list. Like, I've only had like an hour or 2, or in some cases I've had like 10 hours or so, but it's still a case where I don't feel like I can judge it properly. These games being Lost Reavers, which I primarily played the beta version. Played it was better quite a bit, but I haven't actually played the finalised version. So I don't feel like it's fair to judge that at this point. Fable Fortune, it's still a beta, so it's not really an alpha, I think, really. So it's not like a finished game to really judge much on, and I haven't been able to play it too much because I'm having to do so on Rafi's computer. It'll be much easier when the game ends up actually coming out and being released for Xbox One. Star Fox Zero, my copy of Star Fox Guard is the physical edition that I got with the day 1 Star Fox Zero. But I've only actually played about an hour or 2 of Star Fox Zero. I've only done like the tutorials for each of the vehicles and the R-Wing mission. So I don't feel like it's fair for me to try to judge that based simply off the first level, really. And Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE, which I've spent a lot of hours on it. But I've yet to actually finish Chapter 1, effectively. Or Act 1, or whatever they call it. Because various things got in the way. But I tried to fit that in at the last moment, but I just didn't have enough time. Which is ironic, given it was my most anticipated game of 2016, and I didn't find myself the time to play it in 2016. I hope to sort of continue on playing it at some point soon, but a long RPG like that requires, a good amount of time to actually delve into it, really. But those are the sort of like games that, those are basically the games I've played this year, and 4 of which I don't feel like trying to judge in this top 6 category because I feel I can't fairly judge them at the moment. Some of those games I mentioned, Star Fox Zero or Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE or Fable Fortune when it finally comes out, could be, qualifying of a top 6 spot, but I don't feel like I can judge it this moment in time. So, without further ado, I might as well begin Souldin's top 6 games of 2016 with my top 6 games of 2016. And of course that starts off at number 6, my 6th favourite game of 2016 is Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 for the Xbox One. It's also available on PS4, but as you might guess, I played it on the Xbox One. And Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is a bit of a funny thing being on this list, because I got interested in it purely because of the concept of how Dragon Ball Xenoverse, how it was mentioned that your main character from Dragon Ball Xenoverse would be ported over to Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 in a way, as like a hero. It turned out to be a bit of a lackluster feature ultimately, but this led me to purchase Dragon Ball Xenoverse, a game one I hated. Dragon Ball Xenoverse is not a very good game. It is flawed in almost every way. But a lot of people had hope for Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 that it would pull off what people kind of dub now an Assassin's Creed to Assassin's Creed 2 situation. Wherein Assassin's Creed was a tad mediocre, but Assassin's Creed 2 polished just about everything of the original Assassin's Creed. And I gotta say, if Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1 is a 4 out of 10, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is easily an 8 out of 10. The improvements that game has made is absolutely astounding. I've heard some say that Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is just basically more of the same, but I don't feel that to be the case because Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 fixes the problems that Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1 had. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1's combat system just wasn't fun. The super armor got so annoying, and it's just like, eventually it was a chore to play through Dragon Ball Xenoverse. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 was so much more fun, the battles were more exciting, there wasn't super armor to deal with, enemies were competent, like they were challenging but in a different way. Well, the few times they were challenging. I will say the one flaw I can say for Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is it's a tad easy. Though I feel that's more of the way they've set it out. They kind of give you too much stuff to want to do at once. Sort of like when you have a bunch of side quests available at the start, or like early on in a game, but you're sort of like suggested that, you can do them at any time, but you feel like, I want to get them all out of the way now, but because you got them all the side quests out of the way so soon, you're now over leveled for the main campaign for the next few bits you're doing. That's Dragon Ball Xenoverse's 2 problem. I was over leveled because I kept doing all the teacher missions as they popped up, when I'm pretty sure you're only supposed to go with one teacher, do the next part of the main campaign, then go with another teacher that's just unlocked, and yeah. But it's getting new update, a new sort of DLC, and I was actually playing it a lot. Like, I was coming home and thinking, I should be doing this, but I really want to play Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, which is really surprising. It's a lot of fun. The story, bit of a lackluster ending, but I enjoy going through the Dragon Ball Z universe with my created character, which was Nanko in the case of Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. Different character for Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1, but it's a great game, looks lovely, and it just improves on everything with Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1 to such huge leaps and bounds. So that's why Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 places as number 6 on my list of top 6 favourite games of 2016. Moving then on to number 5. And my 5th favourite game of 2016 is Star Fox Guard for the Wii U. Bit of a surprising entry, but at the same time also not. Like, Project Guard, when I saw it revealed, was a game I was quite interested in when I saw it. I think it's because I came off of Dylan's Rolling Western at the time, and I was really into Dylan's Rolling Western. It's a little bit annoying because it's a handheld game which requires really long sort of play sessions to complete a level, but it was a unique take on tower defense, and it got me into actually playing tower defense games and looking for games which have tower defense elements to them, because I found them quite a bit of fun. And I like the sort of unique ways that you can do tower defense games. And Star Fox Guard is a really unique tower defense game which just constantly throws new ideas at me. Like, I was amazed that it's amazing how much variety there is in the simple concept that it has. It uses the Wii U gamepad to great use, which, as a huge fan of the Wii U system itself, particularly its gamepad, I'm so grateful for. It's great sort of using its uniqueness to full advantage. There's a thrill to sort of like spotting an enemy at the last second, or having to sort of like plan out, okay, this one's the priority, this one's the priority, okay, that's going to be problematic, but I can deal with that later. Oh no, the UFO's there, gotta deal with that. It's hard at times, easy at others. Like, it starts off at a nice gradual pace, but it picks up in difficulty quite a bit. And then other levels, it's like, well, I think the problems with some of the levels are easier depending on the person. Like, certain things I found easier than I imagined the challenges would have been harder for other people. And I guess that is also part of what's great. There are so many different varieties of the challenge and the way to do it, and you can even send your own custom-made tower defense levels to other people. You can't change the layout per se, but you can change. You get to command the army and set out which troops get deployed where, and come up with great little strategies. And it's wonderful to sort of log back in and see, did my army manage to actually take someone down? It's like I think I managed to break even just a bit one of the times I popped back on, where it's like, quite a few people managed to take out my armies this time, but just this one managed to pull through. It was apparently really challenging. It's like, did good work there. Star Fox Guard, it is a small game packed to the brim with content and such a unique take on tower defense. It also stars Slippy Toad in a key role, and he is my favourite Star Fox character. So, hooray! Slippy Toad is his own game. Never thought that would happen, did ya? Oh wow! I've been talking quite a lot, and I've only just finished number 5. Let me have a sip of this Royal Horticultural Society English breakfast tea bags. Well, the tea. That tastes like English breakfast, except a little bit watered down, really. Not quite as I've had better teas. PG Tips is only a better tea bag to English breakfast tea to go over. The Wittard's tea bags, English breakfast teas are certainly better. I don't dislike it as much as I do Tetley's. In any case, enough about my tea. It's English breakfast. I've had it multiple times before. Moving then on to number 4, my 4th favourite game of 2016. And I only just managed to fit this game into my list. And that's because I got it for Christmas from my best friend, actually. And that is ReCore for the Xbox One. I'm quite surprised at how much I enjoyed this game. I mean, it's from the art, I believe, is by Kenji Inafune and his team, Concept. And the development of the game was made from a team Armature, I think it is, which is made up of former Metroid Prime developers. But I didn't have much interest in Metroid Prime, and Mighty Number 9 has been a travesty, so I'm quite surprised at how great ReCore is. And it's almost sandboxy, like, he's got quite a bit of open room, and yet it's still, like, I just love this game so much. Like, I keep wanting to go back. Every time I stop, I'm like, I want to actually go back and play some more of it. You play as Jewel Adams, who is sent to a planet called Far Eden, where she's just woken from cryosleep that she's been in for the last 200 years. There's a lot of backstory, actually. I think that's one of the key points that is really great about the game. There is a ton of backstory and lore, and you learn about quite a bit of it through audio tapes and logs you find. And the world of Far Eden is mesmerizing, both in how isolated and lonely it feels, and yet at the same time almost like a form of paradise in a way. I mean, that's a weird way of putting it, because it's like a desert region with almost no life on it. And you're just kind of alone to yourself, but it's kind of peaceful in a twisted sort of way. Like, there's a certain, of course, it's like, it'd, be terrible to be stuck on it for too long, but at the same time, there's a real sense of adventure and sort of like, one with yourself in a sense. And also, Jill's not completely alone. She's got robotic companions who have a lot of personality to them, and she gains more robotic companions as she goes along, and she can help command them in battle, and they aid her in battle. They've all got unique little sort of overworld functions, and you can level them up. It's like, I stopped playing Pokemon Sun for a bit, and it's like, am I still playing Pokemon as I level up the robots with me? And the cool thing is that in terms of improving the robots, you have a kind of a two ways of going about it. You've got building their frames and leveling up their stats. However, to build their frames, you need robotic parts, which you get from killing robots. However, to build up their core stats by powering up their energy cores, you need energy cores. But you do this via grabbing energy cores from the enemy robots in sort of grapple sessions. However, if you grab the energy core from them, you destroy the frames that they have, so you can't get the frames from them. So it's like a, you have to manage your loot in a way. It's like, okay, what do I need more of? Okay, is that a rare enough core? Is it going to be too hard of a time to get that core? Is that just going to be junk sort of framework that I don't want to deal with? What is the most likely loot drop that's going to help me out. And it's like, it's really cool managing that and trying to sort of think about, well, I believe another robot's going to join my team soon, and I kind of want to be able to power that up as quick as possible. And then there's like certain level caps to what frames you can equip, so it's like, should I bother making this frame if I'll know I can get eventually this much better frame? I may need some other resources, and it'll save me some of the energy points, because sometimes some of the energy points are required to build some of the frames. And it's like, there is a ton of depth in it. The core gameplay is a lot of fun. It's like a third-person shooter, but it's really kinetic and energetic, and there's platforming. A lot of platforming, and it works really well. Admittedly, scaling mountains feels kind of broken, because at times you can skip sort of like, ahead of where you need to be via just finding the right rocks and bits of cliff edge to climb up of. But I guess in a sense that's kind of like actual mountain climbing. But the platforming works really well. The dash mechanic makes everything feel quite fast. The only problem is you can't dash infinitely, which is gone to a slight problem in the one area I've gone to, which is this big open landscape, which means it takes ages to get from point A to point B in that section. But, that's the only sort of like basically niggle I've really encountered. The game's a little jittery at times, but it mostly only happens in cutscenes, which kind of removes some of the tension from the cutscenes, but doesn't remove the grand sense of the story and, how easily it is to connect to the world of Far Eden and to Jewel and to our robot companions throughout the journey in Recore. It's a wonderful game. I'm so glad my best friend got me it for Christmas, and that's why it's number 4 on my list. Number 3 then, my third top favorite game of 2016 is another fighting game, much like Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, although you could argue that's also /RPG. It's Pokken Tournament for the Wii U. I haven't really other than Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, I haven't really played another fighting game on the Wii U. But Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, as you might know, I don't have very high opinions of. So I'm quite glad that Pokken Tournament is a fighting game that I absolutely love to bits. It is a unique sort of gameplay to it, which is simple to understand, but tons of depth to it, and very addictive. Like, the campaign mode, you think would eventually bore you out. Like, it is a very long campaign mode, but it's basically, for the most part, just regular fight after regular fight after regular fight, with little variation. Of course, there's I think it's 16 different Pokemon in the game, but of course it kind of gets played out a little bit, and it's like, it takes a while for it to ramp up in difficulty between each of the sort of leagues you're in. You'd think you'd get bored of it, but no, I never did. I was constantly sort of fighting, and it's really addictive. I've completed the game's core plot of Shadow Mewtwo and what was wrong with him, and even went on to do the 100-match tournament afterwards, where I eventually beat the Grand Champion, became the Grand Champion of everything. Like I said, it's unique sort of combat style, unique sort of ideas are thrown into it, and they all really work well. The roster could do with some improvement in my opinion, but they're all uniquely designed in terms of what they can do, and it's got Chandelure in it, which is absolutely wonderful. You can probably tell Chandelure was my main. Yeah, Pokken Tournament, it's, as I said, it's unique, simple, but full of depth and also addictive. I've played online matches before and had a lot of fun with them. I think I've lost 2, maybe 3 out of the 25, I'd say. 25 or 30, I'd say. That I've won, and it's basically just been a wonderful fighting game to have. A game aside from Splatoon to take online and enjoy sort of online matches with. Haven't played it in a while, but that's due to other games popping up. But and I love the voice acting of the game. It's wonderful in the House of the Dead 2 style. Not many of the people are great at voice acting, but that's why it's beautiful. It is glorious voice acting. I also really like the character of Nia, who follows you about the entire game. Like, people say that she's really annoying, she constantly talks, but I really enjoy Nia. I like her as a character, and I like that she's always cheering you on. And she gives, it's nice sort of getting sort of dialogue from her sort of in between key events throughout the story. In any case, that is my third favourite game of 2016. So then, my second favourite game of 2016, and honestly, this would have probably been my most anticipated game of 2015 if it was actually announced last year. Sorry, most anticipated game of 2016 if it had been announced last year. I mean, in 2015. I keep forgetting it's 2017 at the time I'm recording this. And that's because it's a Kirby game. I'm always excited for a Kirby game. My number 2 spot of my favourite games of 2016 goes to Kirby Planet Robobot. It is a wonderful 3DS game with great little ideas. It has the return of Jet and some awesome battles. The robot suit creates some really cool sort of levels and puzzles around it. As what in particular, the Jet levels are a real highlight for me. You know, basically turning the game into a shoot 'em up. Which again, Hal, why haven't you made a shoot 'em up yet? You add a shoot 'em up section to every Kirby game at this rate. But yeah, it's just basically a really fun game. It looks beautiful. It controls really well. Lots of neat ideas. I'm of the opinion that I actually prefer Kirby Triple Deluxe in terms of the overall level design concepts. But Planet Robobot is nonetheless still an absolutely amazing game. Really cool sort of boss battles, and the ideas of, like, you know, it's really interesting seeing Dreamworld being mechanized and seeing the sort of like contrast with the non-mechanized parts of Dreamland and then so mechanized parts, and being so familiar with sections of the enemies and such. It's really odd and really creepy seeing them in sort of like all sort of half robotic forms and such. The sort of takeover is done really well, and there are some huge surprises towards the end, some huge, like, amazing sort of like secrets sort of buried within the game. Like that ending was like, oh my gosh, that's what I'm fighting. Like the final villain of it is like, oh my gosh, it is great. It is great. So Kirby Planet Robobot, wonderful platformer. I always enjoy a Kirby game, and I'm glad to play this one because it is another delightful Kirby game, as most of them are. And that is why Kirby Planet Robobot is number 2 on my list of top 6 favourite games of 2016. So then, we now move on to number 1, my favourite game of 2016. And like with most of the games, I haven't actually completed this one yet because I've got so many games being thrown at me. Work also gets in the way quite a bit, so as of late, because I've had a lot of work in 2016. Not in the early half. The early half was like almost completely dry of work, but then the later half is like absolute tons. So I haven't been able to finish this game yet, but what I've played so far is a remarkable improvement over an already amazing game, and features a lot of things that I just absolutely love about it without even having finished the game. And due to Rafi going ahead of me, I know that some of the flaws of the previous game aren't included in this sequel. The game I'm of course referring to is Bravely Second End Layer for 3DS. It is my favourite game of 2016. Bravely Default was a game I absolutely loved. However, I feel I kind of rated it a bit too highly initially, due to my longing for sort of classic Final Fantasy styled RPGs. And I was ignoring some of the flaws that the game had present. You know, the story wasn't perfect, it was a bit simple at times. You had to go out of your way to learn too much of it, really, doing a ton of the side quests to get most of the sort of desires out of it. And the problem is, of course, the time warping mechanic towards the end, where you effectively have to repeat the game like 4 times, as well as do tons of side quests just to get all the story and to truly complete the game. It means Bravely Default, as wonderful as it is, has the flaw of being a game that I simply just don't have the time to ever complete. Bravely Second, I know, doesn't have that flaw. Furthermore, it's got a lot of core improvements. Everything seems a little bit polished up, and the new classes are really interesting, and from the get-go they show how diverse the sort of villains can be, as well as showing a lot of the older characters through side quests and through sometimes complicated moral decisions. Other times, I don't really agree with either side because there's better solutions to these problems. Rafi had a bit of a rant about this in Ratchet and Clank's in our Ratchet and Clank playthrough. But it's still in some nail-biting moment where I have to like, oh, who do I side with? Who do I side with? I can't decide. Both in terms of like, oh, which class would I want? And also in terms of, which do I agree with? Like, they both have good points, or they both have stupid points in some situations. And one of the best things, probably the best thing for me in regards to this game is its main protagonist. Yu Genealogia is easily one of my favourite RPG protagonists ever. He's easily sort of featuring within, I guess I'd say, I'm not sure if I'd say top 10, but top 20 favourite characters. Yeah, Yu Genealogia would definitely fit in. He is absolutely wonderful as protagonist. He He manages to come across as both impatient and able to rush, but at the same time intellectual and calm. He's a very in-depth character. Like, in certain situations, he'll be the character who will be somewhat oblivious, and other times he'll be the character who's actually a bit more learned and knowing of the situation. He's a very... It's hard for me to try and come up with all this off the top of my head, and I really should have prepared a list for this one. But he's just a great character because he's diverse in the sort of... and got a great amount of variety to him in the various scenes. Like, he's not one note per se. Like, he will have his situations where he's the sort of calm one. He'll have situations where he is the one who will rush in blindly. But it's well explained in terms of why he does it in those specific situations, and it fits into a very sort of like sort of in-depth sort of character in terms of how we all do different things depending on the situation. We're not always one note. You know, a person who is negative isn't always negative. There'll be things they'll be more upbeat about and such. And Eugene Ilder and the way he goes about the story, the way he goes about his character interactions with the rest of the party, and the way he serves the role of the main protagonist is absolutely wonderful, and he's easily my highlight of the game, along with several other moments. The humour is top-notch for the most part. There's a bit of an over-reliance on puns with one character, but otherwise, love the humour. Love the character interactions. Magnolia, another new character, is a delight to see, and oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I enjoy Tiz in this game. Like, I hated Tiz in the Bravely Default. I felt it was so bland, but Bravely Second, I find him real interesting in this sort of, like, him being the sort of experienced, almost, you know, mentor role. He's always the one who's, sort of, like, in the background, sort of, like, knowing the right thing to do. I kind of feel like it's sort of the role Ringabel served, except, you know, Ringabel had, obviously, other elements to him to make him active at times with his, interest in women. But yeah, Bravely Second managed to actually make me like Tiz as a character, and I enjoy his interactions with the rest of the party. Of course, any interaction involving you is my highlight, and I like the way Anya still serves a role in the game. Disappointed that she, you know, I can't use her in battle, but I like the role she plays, and how she gets to frequently interact with the rest of the cast. I like the villains. I like the locations you get to go to, both seeing the older locations and seeing what new areas have been established and how these older locations have changed. And the combat is like small things, but everything is just improved in a sense. Everything has been tweaked just enough. The only thing I'd say that is a gripe with me is the Baals situation. The Baals are overpowered. Like, not in this main campaign. I've encountered one in the main campaign, and you know, it was tough, but I beat it. But through Street Pass, when I encountered Baal, it absolutely destroyed me. I'd reduced its levels by like 5 to 10 as well. But no, they're absolutely crazy jump in difficulty. But I'm ending on the negative note, ironically, but Bravely Second End Layer for 3DS is my favourite game of 2016 because it's a great RPG which fixes the flaws of its predecessor while adding great additions such as Jenny Olger as the main character, Magnolia, and some great new locations and an expansion of the world of, the Bravely series world. And I hope to eventually find the time that I can actually complete this game. So those are my top 6 favourite games of 2016. Feel free to share your own thoughts of what you think of both my top 6 favourite games of 2016 and what are your top 6 favourite games of 2016. I'd love to see the comments. And thank you very much for listening, and cheerio everyone!